Okay, welcome back to Hindustan Astrology, and I'm Katya. And in today's video, I want to look at the transit of Venus for 2020 because we have a couple pretty significant events that are going to happen that will bring Venus into the focus. And the first one is Venus in her sign of exaltation, which is Pisces. That happens tomorrow, which is February 2nd. This will happen for pretty much all of February. Now, when Venus is exalted, we are happy for no reason. And that is the whole idea of Venus, is that we don't need somebody else to make us happy, but we are happy for no reason. And that is something that comes from within. Doesn't matter what circumstance we're in, we just have this happiness that bubbles up from within and it spreads out to the people around us. And then in May, Venus goes into one of her signs of Taurus, and she's going to be in Taurus until the very end, like July 31st, because she's going to go retrograde. And so when Venus goes retrograde, which only happens like every year and a half, she goes retrograde the least amount of time out of all of the planets. And this brings back past loves. It brings back maybe financial speculations that we had invested in the past, and it comes to us at this time. Also, inheritance can come, but it's Venus is going to be going forward and then going retrograde and then going forward again. And this whole time, wherever Taurus is in your chart, is going to get emphasized. And then in September 19th, we have Rahu, which is the north node of the moon, going into Taurus, and that's ruled by Venus. So that's another Venusian quality. And then in November, Venus goes into Libra. So all of these things make for a very Venusian quality to this year, even though Jupiter and Saturn are doing this whole dance together. Jupiter right now is in Sagittarius, Saturn is in Capricorn. By April, Jupiter will be in Capricorn. They go forward and then they go retrograde this summer, both of them go back and then they go forward in about, I think, August. And then by December, the end of this year, Saturn and Jupiter will be conjunct at about 6 degrees in Capricorn. And so, that heaviness is there, but because Venus is doing this wonderful thing, and then also Mars is going to go retrograde. So this is actually a great year to get married. Last year wasn't so great. We had Saturn conjunct Ketu, and that just tends to make things a little heavy. And I mean, I'm not saying that the marriages that happened last year won't be successful, because certainly that depends on the charts. But just in general, this year, this is a better year for marriage. So let's just take a look at Venus and how she is dancing this year. Okay. So here we have on February 2nd at 1:20 in the morning, we have Venus at the very end of Aquarius. She's currently conjunct Neptune and Mercury. Now, since she's been with Neptune, we've seen lots of heartbreaks. For instance, Kobe Bryant and his daughter and all of the other individuals in the helicopter that passed away. That was a heartbreak that affected everybody. I'm going to go forward by month. We see by, well, actually, Venus goes into Pisces, her sign of exaltation, in just one day. She'll be there for about a month. For all of February, she'll be there. And then we see she steps forward, joins Aries, Uranus. Then she goes into Taurus, and March 29th. So that's when things, I feel like, the passion will get better. I mean, it's going to be a really fun summer, to tell you the truth. This is a sign for an excellent summer. Yeah, lots of love, lots of fun. Venus loves the heat. She loves water. She goes retrograde on May 14th with Mercury that day. And so all that stuff she just went through, she's going to go over again. This is when past loves come back. Even like things we've invested in, we could make money on now. Or be careful, you could lose some money if you're not careful. So June 26th, she goes direct. So she goes forward in Taurus until the very end of July. July 31st, she's at 29 degrees of Taurus. Then on August 1st, she goes into Gemini. Oh boy, this is very, very much a flirtatious sign. So after all of that back and forth, it's like Venus is finally free. So look to where Gemini is in your chart, because that will tell you where this energy is playing out, okay? Now, as Venus progresses through the month, we're in September. And, always look at the opposite sign. This tells, the secondary energy. I mean, really, the conjunction is the first, but the opposition is the second. Venus in Cancer. What is in Capricorn? Well, Saturn is retrograde in Capricorn. So when we have a Venus-Saturn opposition, that's not very good for love. It's kind of like very cold, and maybe even a heartbreak or a separation, especially retrograde. So if you have sensitive planets or positions in Cancer or Capricorn, September might be a trying time, but just hang on, because we have Venus. She's going around, and then Saturn goes direct. by okay, November 17th, Venus goes into Libra. And that's going to be a very, very beneficial time. And we see that Rahu has gone back into Taurus, September 19th. And then when Venus is in her own sign in Libra, I feel like that's going to be a very harmonious time for a lot of people. So just, know that, of course, Saturn and Jupiter are doing their dance over here, but Venus really kind of has our back this year. And, the difference between Venus and Jupiter, because they are both the gurus of the zodiac, is that Jupiter kind of represents the professor in the university. You have to apply to get accepted. And he's not always forthgiving in his gifts, You have to really prove yourself, I think, with Jupiter. But with Venus, yes, you have to pay. You have to pay for Jupiter. Very expensive, actually. But Venus is different in that she will teach anybody. Venus, as long as you pay her, she will teach anybody in society, whereas Jupiter will not teach everybody in society. You have to prove yourself with tests. And so I feel like this year gives a sort of humility in that Venus will teach anybody. And so this is really a time for peace and love to be able to be spread. And so with that, I will close. And this is the transit of Shukra for this year, 2020. Thank you. Namaste.